Sometime throughout the night, the storm began. I was awakened by loud thunder. Dawid moved restlessly next to me. It looked as if the storm that was raging outside was raging in him as well. I rubbed his chest, resting my head against it. His heart was beating fast. "Shh," I said as he began to mumble in his sleep. A nightmare was so unlike him. I don't think I ever saw him sleeping this deeply. Loud thunder crashed and a fierce wind shook the building. That one woke up Yafa. I kissed Dawid gently on his forehead before I got out of the bed to go get her. She was sitting up in her crib with big tears in her eyes. When she saw me, she held up her arms for me. "Did the thunder scare you?" I asked, scooping her up in my arms. She mumbled something as she laid her head on my shoulder. Gently, I rocked her back to sleep as I paced the loft, watching Dawid as he restlessly moved in the bed. I frowned. I wondered if what was going on with him had anything to do with what the preacher told me about our time of rest coming to an end. When Yafa was back asleep, I carefully laid her in her crib. As I was easing back into the bed, Dawid shot straight up out of the bed, looking down at me as if I was a stranger. There was something going on with his eyes. That light, but not as intense as before. More like a ring of light in his pupils. As he looked down at me, blinking, recognition came back in his gaze. As the light began to fade, he rubbed his hands through his hair. "Baby," I whispered, "are you okay?" He shook his head before he seemed to collapse to his knees. I scooted to the edge of the bed, reaching for him, but I wasn't sure what was happening to him. "Dawid, you're scaring me." I need to pray," was all he said before he closed his eyes. "Dear Yah, what was happening?" Right then, thunder roared so loud it shook the ground. I got up and I ran to Yafa, who was starting to fret again. "Shh, my heart. It's just a little storm," I told her as I gently rubbed her back. A few minutes later, she was back to sleep. Dawid was still on his knees, lost in his meditation. I lay back on the bed and I put my hand on his thigh. I, too, began to pray. I didn't know what was going on, but I could feel something in the air. At some point, I must have drifted off to sleep because the sound of Dawid putting his sword in his back sheath brought me awake. I sat up blinking, wondering how much time had passed. "Get dressed for battle and meet me down on the field," was all he said before he walked out the door. It was still very early, but the raging storm made it appear darker than it was. I didn't waste time. Quickly, I ran into the bathroom to take care of my morning needs. Then I dressed in a pair of my black leather pants and a leather vest. I strapped on my blades. Then I put on my black leather riding coat. I strapped my sheath over my shoulder and slid my sword into it on my back. Yafa was still asleep. I would stop by Tashana's tent and see if she could come up here and sit with her. When I finally got down to the field, I was surprised to see that Dawid was not alone. Several warriors were lined up in front of him in the rain. Caleb, Shlomo, Gabriel, Arturo, Benaiah, Luke, Cal, Noah, Dred and his son Keon, Gamba, Morris, Jose, and Mel, who were the other 4 men whose group had joined Gabriel's. Uriah, Moses, Yared, Simon, and Bill. "Fall in line, Deborah." Dawid's deep voice rang out, blending in with the rain. I went to stand next to Simon. "Soon these walls will fall," he began. "And when they fall, we need to be prepared for the dark forces that await us on the other side. Yah is our power, and we do not fear. He would guide us along the way. Look around you. You are an elite group of warriors, like none the world has ever seen. Today, we become on one accord. Today, we learn how to move as one unit. Gabriel and Caleb, team up. Arturo and Dred, team up. Uriah and Noah. Shlomo and Moses. Yared and Simon. Bill and Morris. Cal and Mel. Benaiah and Jose. Keon and Luke. Gamba and Noah.
Deborah, you're with me.
Quickly, I went to stand next to him, facing his warriors. I had never seen him like this. He had not been this rigid when he had first come. Everything about him was no nonsense. This was the true leader that the preacher said he would become.
We are going to work on what is called the buddy system. All of you who have trained with my father already know how this works. For those of you who haven't, from this moment on, you will always train with your partner. You will learn their strengths and their weaknesses. You will learn how to move as one unit. Gabriel and Caleb, to the center, he called.
The rain was coming down so hard, it was hard to see anything outside of our circle. I know there were tents all along the wall, but it felt as if the rain made a wall between us and them.
Leave it all out on the field,
he said to them, from where he stood off to the side. He looked at Gabriel.
Where you are weak, Caleb is strong.
He turned to look at Caleb.
Where you are weak, Gabriel is strong. You need to learn how to build each other up and make up for the shortcomings of your partner. Now, fight.
Gabriel and Caleb didn't hesitate. They went at each other. Dawid watched them closely, calling out things that he saw.
Gabriel, Caleb favors his right side. Go in on it, hard.
I was amazed at what I was seeing. Sure, the men practice all the time, but Dawid was urging them to go full steam. So both men were fighting with all they had. And it was true. Together, they made a beautiful team. Dawid said that Gabriel was like his father and that he was stronger than the average man. That was true. But where he was strong, Caleb was fast. Lightning fast. He landed several deadly blows that would have downed the average man before Gabriel could land one. But oh, there is where the danger lies, 'cause to get caught by even one of Gabriel's blows was a game ender for anyone.
Stay out of his reach, Caleb,
Dawid yelled. I winced 'cause Caleb didn't stay out of his reach, and Gabriel caught him, raising him up high in the air before slamming him to the ground.
Stop,
Dawid yelled. I nodded. Good call. Caleb, although he made it to his feet with Gabriel's help, was going to need a minute to regroup.
Caleb is fast, but he is so fast that he can't always see the trap. Gabriel, you can see the trap. You need to learn how to watch for Caleb. Gabriel is strong, but he's not that fast. You need to keep the enemy occupied long enough for Gabriel to connect with them. We call it the Kansas City Shuffle.
Both of the men nodded, taking mental note of Dawid's wise words. He was good, y'all.
Arturo and Dread to the center,
Dawid called, as Gabriel, still supporting most of Caleb's weight, helped him off the field. And so it went. Dawid watched each pair of Akim, calling out their weaknesses and their strengths, those that he saw. But when their turn was over, he encouraged them to continue sparring amongst each other so that they could continue to learn the other. I was so impressed with his eye. I had never seen a leader of an army like him. How he had managed to come up with the pairs was beyond me. It was true. These men complemented the other perfectly. Together, they would be able to defeat any foe. The rain continued to fall as morning turned into afternoon. At some point, Eve and Dynasty made their way out and was braving the rain to watch this intense training session. One by one, each group went, till finally Dawid turned to look at me.
To the center.
As I slipped out of my coat, I wondered about his choice for a partner. Did he just choose me because I'm his wife and he didn't want to see me fighting with any other man? Why did he call me to the field at all? Dawid was the best warrior here. So why did he choose me? I bit my lip as I debated whether or not I should just tell him to go on without me. Tell him to find somebody else. I didn't want to hamper him.
Why the doubt, Isha? That can be a very dangerous thing on the battlefield,
he said as he squatted down in front of his saddlebag. I hid my surprise at the fact that he reached into his bag and pulled out my twin nines. My girls. Like a mama that hadn't seen her children in a long time, I watched as he brought them to me.
I think it's time for you to have these back.
I took them as I looked up at him confused. Dawid, I don't understand what's going on.
That's all right, wife. I understand. Do you trust me?
I stared at him for a moment. I did trust him, but I didn't want him weakening himself because of me. I do, but you don't have to choose me. You're the best fighter I've ever known. How can I even begin to partner up with it? He reached up and gently cupped my chin, wiping the rain off my cheek.
You're the best fighter I've ever known,
he said, and my mouth dropped.
There is nobody that compliments me like you, not even my brother Monroe. I have shown you how to fight with me. Just watch and listen. You can do this.
I chewed on my bottom lip because I just didn't know. I didn't know if I could. He grinned.
Do you trust me?
He asked again. And it was something there in his eyes. Something that resonated in my very being. I nodded. Yeah, I trusted him.
Good. Front and center, my beauty.
I walked to the center of the circle. The ground was sopping wet from the rain. I unstrapped my blades that had been resting where my knives normally went and slid them down into the side of my belt. Then I put my girls back where they belonged, nestled safely outside of my thighs. I rotated my shoulders, loosening up my neck and arms. Dear Yah, be with your servant. Dawid and I had trained together every day for months. That was true. But the last time we sparred, it didn't go well for me. He had made light work of me. Granted, a lot of things have changed since then. Not only have I been training with Dawid, but I have also been training with the preacher. And he taught in duality, lessons that can apply in just about any situation in life.
I want you to come at me with everything you got. It's the only way for you to find my weaknesses.
I grinned over at him. But you have no weaknesses, dear. He grinned back.
Sure I do. And it's your job to find them.
The Akim, who had all been still sparring with each other, had come to a stop to watch us. Eve stood next to her dad and Luke, and Dynasty stood next to her dad. They all wanted to see what was going to happen. Like me, they felt something in the air. Something was different about Dawid. But I had no time to think about much of anything outside of this battle. Because one minute he was standing there, and the next he was coming towards me with a tornado kick, followed by his sword. I jumped to the side, dodging his kick while pulling out my sword to block the blow of his. I bit down on my teeth. Damn, he was not playing. The impact of the blow sent me skidding across the rain-streaked grass. But I didn't lose my footing. I simply went with the skid, turning in a spin before coming to a squatted fighting stance, sword raised.
Come on, beauty. You gotta do better than that.
With a growl, I leaped through the air, bringing my sword in an arc over my head to slash at his. He dodged my blow easily before swiping my feet from under me. I landed in a roll before coming back to my feet.
I have no other partner. Either you turn it on, or my back is left open.
He spoke through clenched teeth, getting angry with me, before he came at me hard and swift with his sword. Ah! I screamed as I blocked his powerful blows. He was coming so fast, that was all I can do. Turn it on, he yelled before he used his elbow in my ribs, sending me flying back to land hard on the ground. I looked up at him, breathing heavily.
What are you waiting for?
He yelled down at me, angry now.
Come on, Black Beauty. What are you waiting for?
I jumped to my feet, and swinging a sword much like he had just done, I delivered my own assault. I could tell by his face as he parred and blocked that he was irritated with what I was doing. What? I yelled at him, coming down with everything I had. He easily blocked my blows before he took his sword and swung so hard when it connected with mine, I either let go of it or I suffered a broken hand. I stood breathing heavy, staring at his angry face.
You want to know what my weakness is? It's you. Because I will be so worried about you, I'll be defeated. And any foe will know that.
Oh, Now that pissed me off. I'm your weakness? I yelled back at him, hitting my chest.
Yeah, you my weakness.
Oh, you back. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you weak. I walked to my sword and I snatched it up off the ground. I felt myself changing. He came at me again while my back was turned. Without turning to face him, I went down into a split, holding the sword over my head to block his blow. Swiftly, I went back on my hands, going into a handstand scissor kick. He dodged my first foot, but fell prey to my second one. When I came up, my sword swung in an arc over my head. He went back and watched as my sword sliced where his neck had just been. I knew this was Dawid that I fought, and I loved him, but I fought him like an enemy because that's what he wanted. I have moved as Black Beauty my whole life, and now I understood what the preacher meant by telling me to learn how to deal with my emotions now that I have found love. Black Beauty will always be a part of me. I cannot erase my past just like I cannot stop my future. So yeah, I could control this. I could turn it on and off. For the first time, I could feel myself getting faster, stronger. My blows were more precise. Dawid was in the fight now. The satisfying look on his face spoke volumes. He swung his sword again, delivering one of those hard blows that sent mine flying back, forcing me to let go of my sword or suffering that broken hand. I let the sword go, but before my back hit the ground, I had my knives in my hand. As I slid across the wet grass, I emptied the clip at him. He ran towards me, using his sword to block the bullets like he had done the night he had fought the Turk and kissed me. And it was as he was running towards me that I saw his weakness. When my guns were empty, I tossed them and rolled to my feet. But I went back down and slid under his legs before bringing my body up behind him, leaping in the air to deliver a knee to his back. He dipped out of the way of the knee, dropping his sword to grab my waist where he sent me flying. My feet barely touched the ground before I sent my body sailing back at his. He was not expecting that. As if I was a monkey, I wrapped my legs around his back, squeezing with everything I had, before I delivered blow after blow to his head and neck using my fist and elbow. He blocked most of my blows, but he couldn't stop them all.
Okay, Beauty, he yelled.
I could hear the laughter in his voice.
Okay, baby, turn it off.
He was protecting his face and head from my assault. I had to force myself to stop, so quickly could I go in for the kill. Which brought me back to the purpose of this exercise. I now knew Dawid's weakness. You don't go in for the kill shot, I told him in his ear before I leaped off his back. He turned to look at me like a proud father before slowly nodding his head.
Always been a weakness of mine. Used to drive Gideon nuts.
I stood there breathing heavy. The rain had let up and was down to a drizzle. Wow, when had that happened? It was then that I noticed that everybody was staring at me with their mouths agape. There were folks standing in front of their tents, looking at me as if I had gone strange. Still breathing heavy, I looked back at Dawid, who was looking at me with that astonished grin on his face. What's with all the goofy looks? I asked as I bent down to pick up my weapons.
You were amazing, baby.
He started to say something else, but he came to a complete stop before looking towards the front gate. Then he looked over at Shlomo with a huge grin on his face.
Big Ak,
was all he said. Shlomo blinked.
Big Ak?
he asked. Dawid took off at a run towards the wall. Shlomo followed close behind him.
Big Ak?
Benaiah asked before he too took off toward the gate. Of course, Dawid didn't wait for it to be open. He just did that Spider-Man thing he did and leapt to the top, disappearing over it just as quickly as he climbed it. Shlomo and Benaiah worked at getting the gate raised before they followed. I just want to say, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, Dynasty said, picking my coat up off the ground and handed it to me. Eve says you train her. Oh, please, Dee, can you train me too? I laughed at the look of adoration on her face. If it's okay with your parents, I began, but Yasmin and Gabriel both cut me off. It's okay with us. Chuckling, I walked to the gate. Simon fell in step next to me. What just happened back there with that whole Big Ak thing? I asked him, as with narrow eyes I watched Dawid, Shlomo, and Benaiah disappear in the trees. He cleared his throat, getting my attention. I looked at him as he lifted his sleeve to look at his watch. This was a code for me and him. We hadn't used it for years. It was a signal to the other that we were getting ready to talk around the person that was in listening distance. Every third word was the word meant to be paid attention to. I nodded, but I couldn't help but chuckle. Simon and his theatrics.
My bell and he, tomorrow maybe can, go and hear the children sing.
What do you mean? I asked, confused. He can hear? What in the world? I began to get a strange feeling in my stomach.
I mean, Simon repeated. My bell and he, tomorrow maybe can, go and hear the children sing.
He nodded towards the trees where the men had disappeared.
Everything that happens in the compound, and just about everything that happens within a mile of this place each way.
Now he only spoke, moving his mouth. No sound came out. What? I began, but he put his finger to his lips.
He has found a way to filter things so that only key words catch his attention, Simon mouthed. For you, everything you say and everything you do, he hears.
How is that possible? I asked, speaking with only my lips. I wasn't going to believe this. No. Dawid said that he would not keep anything else from me because he didn't want me to feel as if I was not his family, his wife. He would not keep something like this from me. Simon was wrong. He had to be. For the first time, Simon's observation was off. I shook my head. No, it's not possible. I said this out loud. I was not going to believe this.
I don't know how it's possible, but it is what it is.
He mouthed those words before he headed out the gate, going towards the trees where the other Akim had gone.
Big Ot! I yelled, running toward the group of people that were headed our way on foot. They came to a stop. I could hear Big Ot talking to someone else, wondering who I was. When I got within eye range of him, he narrowed his eyes, looking at me. "Oh," was all the Asian warrior had time to say, before I picked him up, hugging him close. "Dawid, boy! Dawid!" He hugged me back. I put him on his feet and he reached up and cupped my neck, pulling me back into his embrace. "Boy, you look just like your daddy." For a minute I thought Lion had found a way to get rid of that gray hair. "Big Ot," Shlomo said, breaking through the trees behind me. "Shlomo! Oh, hallelujah! Y'all over here, hallelujah!" he cried before he took Shlomo in a big bear hug. "Oh, man, my dad has gray hair?" I asked, looking into the group, knowing my dad would be here. Big Ot and my pops was best friends. "Is he here?" I began to ask, but right then Daniel broke through the trees. He came running. "Dawid! Shlomo!" he cried. "Dad!" Benaiah yelled, coming up behind us at a run. "Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah, it's my boy!" Daniel took his son in his arms. I heard a woman cry before I saw his mom come running from wherever she had been. Benaiah went to his knees as his mother wrapped her arms around him. Joy filled my heart. I knew it was only a matter of time before I would be feeling that way too. That dream had been wrong. It had been wrong, hallelujah. I looked back at Big Ot. "My pops, my mom," I asked them. The smile left his face. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, he just shook his head. Pain. Intense pain replaced the joy I had just felt. My parents were dead. If they weren't with Big Ot, they were dead. Which meant the dream, while I was standing over my mom, my dad, and Deborah's body, was real. It had felt so real. "I haven't seen your dad since before the flare hit. He and your mom went up," "Yeah, I know, to the lake house." He nodded. "It's tearing me up too. I waited for as long as I could for him to show back up. Daniel showed up. A few days later, Natalie. But nobody else. We had to leave. We had to get out of the city. The blood fiends had taken over." I nodded. "What about my sisters?" He shook his head, but then his gaze brightened. Although a couple of years ago we passed through this little town in Indiana, and the folks there was talking about a group of traveling musicians that had come there a few months before us. Man, they say the lead female singer is very beautiful, with long brown braids. So beautiful that they were still talking about her when we got there. But then his face darkened again. What, Ak? What is it? I asked, thirsty for any information he had. They say they're a group of thieves, Ak. At first I didn't want to believe it was Ty, but once I heard about her voice, I knew it was her. They say when she sung, she chased all the bad things away. So much so that they would be willing to risk getting robbed again just to feel good one more time. Oh yeah, the dream. The dream, I saw Ty, I saw Gina in chains. They had become thieves? Ty was always infatuated with our mother's stories of the days she had been known as the famous Butterbaby, sticky finger extraordinaire. Oh no, please y'all don't let my sisters be out here in this day and time playing such a dangerous game. Shlomo put his hand on Big Ak's shoulder. How many you got with your group, Ak? He asked. We've picked up about 60 people along the way. I looked at them. Y'all with us? We have a safe place for the time being. Come eat, get rested. Soon we'll be heading east. He nodded his head. You already know we with you, Lil Ak. As we walked back toward the compound, Shlomo joked with Big Ak about the fact that he had gotten old on us. I may be old, but I can still tear Demon's head off. I chuckled. Yeah, I believe him. He was still built like a dozer, and I know he still knew what to do with that sword he carried on his back. Only now he sported gray hair. He, Daniyah, and Naphtali. I see you got a few gray hairs yourself, Naphtali told Shlomo. Yeah, man, until you old grump showed up, I was the wise one here. I shook my head, at this point only pretending to listen to them. My heart was in so much pain. My parents were dead, and if my dream was correct, Yahoshua was next. My sisters was thieves. I saw them in chains being led away somewhere. For all I know, they were already dead. Big Ak said he heard about them 2 years ago. Only Yah knew if they were still alive. As we were walking into the gate, I heard Yahoshua cry out from somewhere upstairs, and my heart stalled in my chest. Hey, Ak, I said to Shlomo. Help everybody get settled in. I have to go and check on something. I didn't wait to get his answer. Deborah was hurt. I couldn't lose her. There would be no coming back from that. I took the stairs 3 at a time. I could hear her groaning from the training room. I ran past our loft door, down the dark hall to the training room, and threw open the door. She stood there leaning against the wall with her arms folded and an angry frown on her face. I came into the room looking around confused. Are you hurt? Yes. My heart is broken. I just found out my husband is a big, fat liar. Oh, crap. Oh, damn. Oh. I raked my hands through my head. Oh, wow. My hearing, she knew. Baby, I can explain. She held up her hand and walked past me. Nah, I don't want to hear your bull. Keep it to yourself. I didn't want to hear nothing he had to say. I can't believe he kept this from me. I felt like such a fool. Baby, wait, he said, putting his arm around my waist, bringing me to a stop. Please, beauty, just hear me out, he whispered, bringing his forehead to rest against the back of my head. I tried to break away from him, but he turned me, pressing my back against the wall, and his big body up against mine. He buried his head in my neck. I need you right now. I need you so bad. He was kissing my neck just underneath my ear. Ah, come on. This was not fair. I took a cleansing breath, blocking out the pleasure of having him pressed against me like this, using his dangerous lips to try to persuade me. That was him. That was Dawid, the persuader. I snatched away from him. What else you keeping from me? I wasn't keeping that from you. I never got around to telling you. Oh, okay.
That makes so much sense. So the time I asked you how you knew I was crying after my training with the preacher, and you told me that you just had a feeling, how about then? Seems to me that would have been a wonderful time to say, "Oh, wife, I have superhuman hearing, and I can hear everything you do." I folded my arms, waiting on him to come back with some kind of lie. He opened his mouth, but after taking in the look in my eyes, he closed it. Go ahead and admit it. You didn't tell me about it because you didn't trust me. And all this time, you've just been spying on me.
I wouldn't say spying.
Was all the turkey could come back with. No? Well, what do you call listening to all my conversations, all my actions? Were you waiting on me to go behind your back and betray you? I was so mad right now, I felt like unsnapping my nine, but I'll be damned if I prove him right about me being trigger happy.
No, I knew you wasn't going to betray me. I don't know. I don't know why. It's just something I really don't tell people. That's all.
Does Stormy and Shlomo know about this? I asked, narrowing my eyes at him. He exhaled and hung his head. And I had my answer. You know what? You don't have to keep telling me where I fit into your life. I get the message, loud and clear. I turned to walk away. He reached for me again, but before he could touch me, I turned back to him, holding up my finger at him. You have taken away all my freedom, even my freedom to privacy. I ask you right now to leave me alone. Don't touch me, and please don't follow me. Can you respect that? He looked at me, and I can see the pain on his face. He was going through something, but my pain hurt too much for me to care. Can you? I hissed, before I turned and walked away, not being able to stand the look of him anymore. All this time I had thought he and I had grown into something so beautiful. He had not trusted me one bit. He didn't tell me about his gift because he was using it against me to monitor my conversations, my actions, so that he could always be one step ahead. What a bastard. I didn't speak to anybody as I made my way to the stable. I didn't even bother to saddle Black. I just jumped on his back and led him out the sideway, away from all prying eyes. I wanted to just ride away from all this, but I was at war with myself. Dawid loved me, right? He couldn't have faked all the things we had shared. But if he loved me, why would he lie to me? I was just a game to him. It had all just been fun. Somebody to bide his time with, be a mother to his daughter. I had been so stupid. You know what? There was a reason I left him the first time. It had been foolish of me to take him back. He was still the same. He hadn't changed at all. I slowed Black down to a walk once I got to the river. Something caught my eye just up ahead by the bridge. There was a man standing there watching me. A big man. I narrowed my eyes trying to get a good look at him. For a moment I thought it was Dawid. But this man was older, darker. His long locks were streaked with gray. My eyes widened. Oh my goodness. Resting down by his feet was the biggest lion I had ever seen.